Amazon, before the coronavirus epidemic, had been consuming some 2% of all US household income. Clearly a revolution underway. So joining us to discuss what is now called Bezonomics, that's the name of the book, the title, Brian Dumaine is joining us. He's also a former editor at Fortune magazine, a contributing editor. Thank you for being here. So it's no secret that Amazon has changed the world and is crucial during COVID-19. But what's next for them? Can they be stopped?
Thanks a lot. It's a pleasure to be here today. And Amazon is a company that was, in a sense, built for the pandemic. In your earlier interview with Senator Booker, he was talking about our supply chain vulnerabilities. And, Amazon has risen to the occasion during this pandemic to supply essential goods to a lot of us. Now, part of the secret of their power is how much they've digitized business. They have AI, machine learning, big data capabilities that are far ahead than most corporations. And they're using that to meet this incredible spike in demand. In the first quarter, demand rose 26% for Amazon, and they had to hire another 175,000 people. And a company that was run traditionally would be hard put to turn that quickly. But Amazon, because they have AI more and more making decisions on what to buy, where to stock them, in which warehouses, how to get them delivered, was really well positioned to handle this. Now you say, can they be stopped? Sure, they could be stopped if the politicians in Washington decide that they've gained too much power in the marketplace. But in my book, I examine that very issue and find that, at least if you look at the data and if you look at current antitrust laws in the United States, breaking them up at this point just isn't warranted. They don't have a large enough share of retail in the U.S.
Brian, it's Julie here. I mean, as you point out, when we have seen companies like this get bigger and bigger through history, the question is always sort of at what cost, right? And I think that we're asking those questions more and more now amidst this pandemic, as we've seen some of their workers protest, but also there was the pre-existing idea that they're using all of that data that you talked about to disadvantage their third-party sellers, to, get information from them and then just sell the same stuff that the third-party sellers are selling themselves. So what did you find as you were researching and writing your book on that front?
Right. Great question, Julie. I have a whole chapter on third-party sellers competing with Amazon, and in some instances, they have been using data. Now, the company claims that they only use collective data. They'll look at a category like batteries and decide whether they want to make their own house brand batteries, which they do. There was a recent Wall Street Journal investigation that said that they were actually using individual data for individual entrepreneurs and using that to compete against them. And that is a problem. However, Amazon's home brand products are only 1% of all their revenues. And every big retailer, whether it's Costco or Walmart, they have their own home brands in a sense. So to use that as justification of breaking up Amazon, I think really doesn't hold water. There's some abuses there, and Amazon said itself it's going to have an investigation, and because it's against their policy to use data from individual sellers. The bigger problem for the individual sellers is the amount of competition on the site. There are over 2 million individual sellers now selling some estimated 600 million different products. And these people can be incredibly cutthroat to each other. I mean, there are stories I document in the book about one entrepreneur on Amazon literally taking over another's website because he wants to gain access to their 600 positive reviews. And so they'll change the art, they'll change the product description, and use the competitors' reviews to sell their product. And they also take over their competitors' sites to gain information about their SEO search terms, their marketing strategy, which of their products they're selling, et cetera, et cetera.
Brian, I'm going to jump in here to pick up on Julie's first point that she made, which is about the workers and how they've been treated. That has been a concern around Amazon before this crisis, but certainly has been elevated. You get the sense that this notion of potentially unionizing, organizing is growing louder and louder. How does that change the dynamic for Amazon and the way it operates?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Worker conditions in the warehouse have always been difficult. Although I visited an Amazon warehouse, and I talked to some Amazon warehouse workers, and I also looked into conditions at other warehouses, whether it's Walmart or Costco, whatever. And Amazon really doesn't stand out as being different from those others. Look, it's a very tough job. It's hard. It's monotonous. And Amazon actually recognizes this. They have a program where after you've been working in a warehouse for a year, they will pay for any education you want that would lead to a job, even if it's not at Amazon. If you want to become a nurse, they'll pay for that. A truck driver, they'll pay for that. But the bigger issue here is that Amazon warehouses are becoming so automated that there are 450,000 frontline workers someday won't have jobs. So how they treat their warehouse workers is going to become a moot point. I think the bigger danger to society is how we're going to handle this mass unemployment that's going to come through automation.
Brian Dumaine, we will pick that discussion up another time. Thank you for joining us.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.